Today, I'm delighted to introduce you to Caroline Van Keymeulen. She's a very experienced coach for both entrepreneurs as well as students. And with her, we will be discussing about the importance of developing and finding your true purpose so you can really become a leader. I'm sure that you will be delighted with this talk, so please follow me. Thank you. Caroline, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Looking forward this interview.
Yes, me too, me too.
Yeah, so well, maybe just to start, discussing a little bit and putting things into perspective. Would you mind to tell us something about yourself and your career and how you are interested in leadership and women and leadership?
Yes. So basically, I have a background in events and in HR. I started an event agency or event staffing agency in 2015. I kind of felt like, is this my purpose? Because I just started it when I was in my 20s. And then to 2015, I said, I need something else. So I started another company, but I didn't feel that sense of fulfillment. So I said, I really need to do something else, because just starting something new that was actually quite similar to what I already did wasn't the solution. And so I started traveling, and I started my adventure as a digital nomad. So I kept my company, but I managed myself from abroad, something that I think every company in COVID times since 2020 is doing. So, but at that time, 2015, I started doing it and it worked very well. And it gave me the opportunity to seek what is my purpose. So traveling the world, people started referring to me as the coach, like, oh, you should ask her. She can help you. And it felt good. So when somebody gives you the title and it feels good, I just grab it. And there was a little imposter syndrome. So I did decide to take a good education in coaching. So I went to London, studied, and obtained my coaching certificate. And then I got a bit further in specializations. Coming to that, I started a coaching business. And I already worked a lot with women. I had a little entrepreneurs club with women where we shared our insights, where we shared our skills with each other. So that all came together. Last year, I sold my event staffing agency. 2020, also the best year to not have it, because in Belgium, events are forbidden since 2020 because of COVID. And I started my focus on the coaching business. And right now, I am a business coach for Artevelde University College, where I'm also a researcher, focusing on the human side. So I'm focusing on the human side of digitization. And next to that, I'm coaching mainly in leadership.
Wonderful. So it's really, well, the way you put it is like it was a path that you walked through, but eventually all the pieces of the puzzle came together.
For a couple of years, I must admit, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing it. And I kind of believed in the process. Does that make sense? Like, I think this is going to, say, I'm going to know why. And now I can connect all the dots. And I'm still not there. There's still so many things that I can do. But I feel that I'm on this journey where every step that I take, I measure, is this getting me closer or further away from my purpose? And if it's getting me closer, I'm accepting it. If it's pulling me away, I try to say no.
Fantastic. So it looks like you already have a good definition in your mind on what purpose could look like, or would you mind to?
I give trainings in it. So I obviously, yes, I wanted to find it out for myself as well. I think purpose for me is the sweet spot where you can combine what you like, what you can. So basically, what you love, your skills, together with what the world needs and where you can make money. The Japanese call this ikigai. And that is mainly that sweet spot. If you can find that, and there are tricks and tools to go towards it, there are a lot of books in it, trainings in it. That is how I discovered my purpose. And I think it can help other people to discover their purpose and get more fulfillment in life.
Mm-hmm. So these three elements, and you think that applies for everybody, including sustainability leaders?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, because it's a combination of things. Sustainability, for me, it has a broad meaning. You have sustainability, meaning the ecological side, which I'm happy to support. I'm part of a team that's focusing on protein transition. Being, I'm not a vegetarian myself, but that's okay. The point is that we also see alternatives. But my focus there is also on the human side of sustainability, to have sustainable companies, to have happy employees, to have happy leaders in companies. That is also sustainable, because the most sustainable thing is your life. That
Mm-hmm.
is sustainable. So one of the projects that I'm working on is actually a community house that will be called Haven, as a safe haven,
Mm-hmm.
where we will focus on young graduates and older who will have a support to have a sustainable social life, which everybody's lacking now, especially during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, sustainability has that wide scope of meanings.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it already, but I want to make the question direct because it's almost a philosophical debate, right? In your view, is it purpose something that you find, or is it purpose something that you developed?
I think the purpose is something that I have always had, but I didn't see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more, we go depending also what the culture is that you grew up in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I come from a very Western culture in Belgium, but on the other hand, also a very conservative one. So I was brought up by severe parents. I had the ability to have a good education,
Mm-hmm.
and then as a student, for example, I worked on events. And so by accident, I started an event staffing agency, meaning that the agency that I was working for, they actually told me, oh my God, we need to go somewhere. Can you pretend that you're the casting manager? Which I did for a big casting at Mercedes. And they told me at Mercedes, you're not the casting manager, but you do have the skills. We know it because the structure of that company is so small. And so that lady invited me to teach me everything that I needed to know, which I did. Thanks to her, I learned so many things, and I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but it was a wonderful journey. But at a certain point, you don't really choose to do what you do. You just
Mm-hmm.
do it. And then I remember in 2015 when I told my parents, I'm going to leave, I'm going to go abroad. They said, you cannot do this because your purpose is this event staffing agency. You have it now, so you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually was an epiphany for me, because I realized they just want to have my safety, my security, my financial stability, which is also important. But I told them, if I am not leaving now, I'm not going to be there anymore, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling numb. I feel that I'm becoming this human being that is walking around without any purpose. So maybe,
Correct.
yes, my company can be destroyed because I'm leaving abroad. It's possible, but I'll have to take the chance, because I love life, and
Mm-hmm.
I choose myself above my stability in the finances and in the social life. I just wanted to find myself. So let's say that the purpose was always there. We have values that we think that are ours, but maybe aren't ours. They were taught, and
Mm-hmm.
they are maybe not so close to who you are in your core. So that's also what I do in my coachings. We try to pull off the things, the layers that we put around ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very important to peel that onion and get to who you really are. But besides peeling, so I absolutely agree with what you say, that in order to be as a good professional, you also need to do that personal development that
Yes.
gets you closer to who you are. But it sometimes, particularly for sustainability professionals, that's quite difficult, because at the same time that they need to deal with their own, they also need to deal with the structures they are working with. And I wanted to know your advice on how to navigate those obstacles, because let's imagine that as a person you have already identified your purpose, your values, you are ready to go, you have the strength to fight for what you think is good. And at the same time, and there are studies mentioning that, how the structures and the policies of a company can really drag you in, and eventually there is this internal fight. How to deal with that?
Well, stop fighting it. Stop fighting it. I learned one thing, that is, you cannot change everything. You can only change yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So having that knowledge and that awareness, I can only change my own view, makes you look at things differently. And I call it dancing with the demons,
Mm-hmm.
and dancing challenges rather than fighting them. And that gives a
Mm-hmm.
lot of headspace. And it's that headspace,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of relief that comes afterwards, that actually makes what I said, in the beginning. I believed in the process. When I was like figuring things out, I can only advise people, say it to yourself. Do you believe in the process? And then try to believe in the process. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's all in your mind, and you cannot change everything, or you can't change anyone around you, but you can
Mm-hmm.
your own vision. So maybe try to
Mm-hmm.
figure out, why is something bothering you? What is bothering you? Why? And is it important? Is it not important? Because we often I still do it, even though I have a greater awareness, since I'm really working on myself. I'm doing personal development, I'm coaching, and thanks to my clients, I also get reflections of myself again. It's a continuous struggle to see, okay, something is bothering me. Why is it bothering me? And is this really important or not? And
Yeah,
by doing that exercise, you can just sometimes say, no, it's not worth it. And it can be just a simple thing. It can be just somebody in
correct.
the supermarket who is a bit rude, or you perceive it as rude. Why should it bother you? Why do
Mm-hmm.
you let that situation bother you? We often make the wrong choice. We don't think it's a choice, but you
Mm-hmm.
actually say, I'm not going to let this situation bother me.
Yeah. So pick your fights, no?
Yeah,
Know what you need
it's
to.
harder, when you're in it. It's hard. And also,
Yeah.
we need to be a bit softer on ourselves. It's when you're softer on yourself, you will also see that it's okay to say, oh, I'm going through a rough time. Obviously, there are some people who have worse things in life, but at this time, it's also okay to say, for me, this is really a hard time. It's okay. Nobody needs to feel guilty. And especially in our Western culture, we feel very guilty by, we come, most of us come from a good education. We have a roof above our head. So we have education, we have a roof, we have food. So who are we, to say something? We also have the right, because in everyone's mind, one particular situation is bad. And even though somebody on the other side will say, no, that situation, you don't know about my situation. It's so different. It also has to do with the flexibility that we have in our thoughts, in our minds, to cope with different things. Not everybody is equipped with this ability to cope with everything straight away, and that's okay. We are all
And
human.
that's okay. And I think we also need to be aware that, and that's a little bit the syndrome of many sustainability and CSR professionals, that we think that we can save the world, and we feel superheroes, and eventually we are burned out very quickly. So absolutely, we need to forget and forgive ourselves. But
Yeah, say that when you say CSR leaders and sustainability want to save the world, we can only save the world if we ourselves are charged and equipped. So eating well, sleeping well, but also putting your thoughts aside from time to time is very important to keep us healthy. It's like
Absolutely.
the famous quotation where they say, "Put the oxygen mask on for yourself first."
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, absolutely. Very, very good point. And it's I keep talking about obstacles because that is what I see whenever talking with CSR professionals. How indeed they are in a tough situation and they shouldn't feel guilty for that. It's true. In many cases, they are dealing with these high expectations. Yes, because many companies now they are having these visions by 2023 we will be carbon neutral, we will have no child labor, we will solve every
yeah,
single problem, but I will give you a little budget, so please go and do it, right? And that feels also very stressful for many of the professionals. So again, I guess purpose also help you to navigate with these constraints, and I want to hear your views as well.
well, I also think you have to put it next to the real purpose of the company, because we have
Mm-hmm.
when we look at a CSR, you have the companies that use it as a sales talk, and I can really imagine if you're working there with the best intentions, but you notice that your company doesn't really have those best intentions, other than to gain more money and to have a better image of themselves. It's just a branding. It's so frustrating. It is so frustrating, and then you need to ask yourself that bold question: Do I fit in here? And I'm going to even make it bolder. Does this company deserve my goodwill to make this change? And can I do it? Or am I being held hostage? Because
Yeah.
if you are in a prison, and it's really like that, but you need to ask yourself the question: Is it really like that? It's not because you have a boss that sometimes is maybe a bit hard on you. No, you really have to ask yourself the question: What is it that I want? I want to make the difference. Second, can I really make the difference here? Or is it something else that is limiting me and I cannot change it? So I will never gain my purpose. Well, why try fighting something that will never change? It's only gonna drain all the energy out of yourself. So I think you need to be brave sometimes and also walk away from things that you cannot change and cannot longer support. It's a
Yeah.
combination. And then, oh, I can imagine some people will say, yeah, but it's, but it's my income, it's this, it's that. Well, in 2015, I said goodbye to my income because I said, I'm not going to survive this. And I really meant not surviving it, because I was numb. I felt nothing. So when I did that, I knew that potentially I was going to lose everything. The other thing happened. I felt so much better. My perception changed. I got so much more inspiration from what I was doing then by letting that go for a while, and it gave me a
Yeah.
clearer view. And actually, and that's also something that it also has to do with luck. My company did a lot better. So it's not only me feeling better, it's a combination. The market was good, that's a combination of things. But a big part of it, I really analyzed this, because I said, if I'm going to tell this to someone, I don't want anyone to throw their lives away that they currently have and then tell me, you told me everything was going to be okay. Well, you need to work for it. So it's not going to happen because you're just going to walk away. I was continuously looking for a new challenge, something that could keep me going. And you know what? That event staffing agency was still there, because yes, it was my cash cow. It was where I got my money to survive from. But when you're in this mode, and I call this, I use the word survive. You
Mhm.
don't want to survive life. You want to live life.
Yeah.
So there are choices that you have to make, and sometimes you just need to prepare for plan B, so that you can really go towards it and be happy. So you don't have to take an instant decision. But once you make the decision, I'm going to work on it. And once again, it comes to what I said in the beginning of this interview: have your goal in mind and look at everything that you're doing. Every step is it bringing you closer or further from your goal? So if your goal is like, I really need to I want to change the world by, I don't know, reducing our footprint, and we can do this with this company, but they're not letting me, and you really did your exercise that it's really never going to happen in the way that you are, and it's draining you, you feel so unhappy, then make a plan to walk away. You
Yeah.
just don't go to your boss today and say, I quit. Make a plan.
Yeah.
What you could
Yeah.
also do is go to your boss and say, we could never do this because of this and this and this. But I do advise when you go to a boss or to a manager, always come with an alternative, because
Yeah.
then at least you can show that you have thought about it and how it could be different, because nobody likes to be called out. So if you're going to say, you are not letting me do this, da, 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 you could say, imagine that we had this. How would you feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
We could obtain this by doing this and this and this. However, and then it comes, however, for now it's not possible because of these reasons. So how do you think, manager, that I could handle this best?
Mm-hmm.
And this might seem a simplified version, which it probably is,
Mm-hmm.
but if you take that in mind, that we don't accuse the other, but we invite them to help us, they might actually see in their search, in their way of helping us, like, oh, well, it is impossible. And then they realize, because not everybody is doing it out of just
That faith. Yeah.
that fate, or just say, we need this big CSR PR campaign, but we don't want to do this. Sometimes it's really not realizing what it takes. So then
Exactly.
you to make the other person realize, but you cannot make anybody listen if you start telling them how wrong they are. You need to first say and take them into your story, where it is that you want to go, and ask them what they think about it. I think that.
Perfect. That's a great advice, absolutely, and that reflect the daily day of any CSR manager and how to handle that. Actually, brings me to the next question I have for you. That they also face a lot. We also face a lot of um, obstacles in terms of resistance to change, which is normal. And I think in a way you have answered already how to handle it, but maybe you want to elaborate even further there, because
Well,
it's true that
we all have. We all have. If I would have to say, imagine you are sleeping with somebody in the same bed for I don't know how many times. You don't change places every night. You have that same spot. Even if you're alone in your bed, you have a particular spot. What if I asked you to flip around? You wouldn't like it. You're going to say no. Well, maybe try it. First night's going to be quite uncomfortable. You will wake up, because change affects everyone,
Mhm.
even in the smallest things. So it's if it's normal for you, imagine for the other one. It's the same. So it's also there again, more a bit of the understanding. So if you can acknowledge that it's difficult for the other one, that other person you need to talk to, or a board of advice that you need to talk to, will be more open to receive your context. But again, start with the end image. It's a visioning technique. Make them imagine
Mhm.
how it's going to look like. And if your company is looking at a good PR campaign, make them imagine how good they would look if they would really do it, and if they would have real stories. So that's again what I said, dance with your challenges instead of
Mhm.
fight.
Mhm.
Dance with them.
Tighten.
Yes.
Absolutely. Very, very good. So I think we are approaching the end of the interview. As it's amazing. I think I could have stayed like 3 hours more talking to you about this, because it's very interesting. But I always try to summarize it like in bullet points. And in this case, I would like you, maybe if you can try like in 3 steps very quickly, your pearls of wisdom, saying, okay, young professional, if you want to develop your or find your purpose, you
Yes.
could start this way.
Okay. So, if you want to find your purpose, look at what you really like to do, what it is that you can do, because that has to be a combination of both. Meaning that you can learn a lot of things, but you will need a medical degree if you want to be a doctor. So you need to make realistic steps. So what is it you like to do? What is it? What is your skill? What can you do? What does the world need? Because maybe you like something, but does the world really need it? Does it make a change for the world? And then I think fourth thing is important. Can you make money out of it? I'm going to reverse that question too. Are people willing to pay for what you can offer to change the world with your skills and with what you love. And that sweet spot, that is your purpose.
Fantastic. Okay. So a lot of food for thoughts for our students. But thank you so much, Caroline. It was a great pleasure.
Time, and everybody who's watching this, thank you. I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, and please invite people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will send you the link.
I will. Thank you very much. Bye.